What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Igomahl banner. That brings Igomahl a counter and debuffer specialist Barthelemy that enables overdrive squads, and Ludwig farmer, but also damage dealer. Let's go straight out to our SRS.xyz. Starting with Igomahl, she has 115% will and endurance, very good status. She works like a tank. Still has 102% agility and 113% intelligence. Very good status reduction. Still has lots of charisma because she self-revives if she dies. A tank that self-revives. Okay, so start of a turn, she gives an action order up. As you can see, extreme effect. And then she enters Town Stance. That has medium effect, and she also provides stealth to everyone else. It's the same taunt effect as Final Emperor, Faye. When being attacked, she has a 50% chance to trigger Harlequin of Revenge stack. So when you are on overdrive, you can attack with X and Ritus. It's a full AoE shadow attack that, when the attack lands, reduces the intelligence of the enemy by 10%. It's guaranteed. And then buffs all surviving allies' intelligence by 15%. Well, weak attack, buffs and debuffs are also weak. Then, when being directly attacked, she reduces damage taken in counterattacks with Trick Boxes. Trick Boxes is her skill number 2. A single target attack, shadow damage only, and when the attack hits, there is a chance to debuff the enemy STR and Intelligence. And then buffs all surviving allies STR and Intelligence too. As a chase counterattack, she will then be debuffing 10% and buffing 15%. As a command, debuffs 15%, buffs 25%. Again, just be power, not that strong, takes too much time to scale, and in many fights you lose our buffs. It does not help much with damage. Then, by the end of a turn, if she is dead, she revives with around 3000 HP, unless it's poison damage. Starts turns getting 2 BP, total of 5 per turn. Grants all ally a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%. Also 3 stacks of defense up 5% that will decrease damage taken for the whole fight. So actually 3 defense ups, 1 defense boost medium, reducing damage taken. As a tank, it is actually very useful to have something like that. When attacked, damage will be reduced by 40% at all times as well. First hit is blocked, and she buffs endurance and will by 20%. Okay, very tanky. Provides some defense support. The problem with Igomahl is the lack of damage or strong debuffs. She hardly can be your main debuffer, or if she uses it by you as a tank, won't have enough damage to actually matter as a damage tank. Skill 1 is called Small Steel. Single target, just E power. Tries to instant kill the target, but recovers HP by around 1,500. Very nice, since it's free. Trick Boxes, we already discussed it. And then the third one is Shadow Detonation. It is a fast single target attack. And when the attack lands, grants the target morale down large. Decreasing damage taken by 35% at the source, lasts for 2 turns. Since this is a fast skill, you can actually cycle Shadow Detonation and Small Steel. The skill also grants her a guard up large, decreasing damage taken by 35%, will not stack with other guard ups. And it has a double S power. For 10 BP cost, like I said, you can cycle perfectly Shadow Detonation and Small Steel. But then when you do this, you are not debuffing the enemy, you have to rely on your counter or your overdrive attack to effectively debuff the enemy. Good thing is that you can decide when to overdrive and use X and Ritus. Bad thing, it's AoE, just be power, she doesn't have damage potential at all. So she's just a tank that reduces damage taken to the party, taunts, counters, and has revenge, much like Faye, but Faye is a much stronger type. Remember Faye? She has the better chase when attacking on overdrive. Axe of Vengeance has S power, and even then it's not that strong, but she can effectively do much more damage than Igomahl. A jack of all trades, master of none. If you want to inherit something, you can. I believe the best one would be Malicious Trick, because it applies attack down to decrease damage taken by 15%, so that you can cycle between morale down and an attack down, but it's 15%, I don't know if that is all that important. Or you can inherit Trick Ball, since this debuffs intelligence by 15% on max level. Like I said, Igomahl, has many utilities, but she's never all that good in anything she does. Hence why it is actually easy to skip her, but she still guarantees a 4 out of 5. The next one is Barthelemy. He has 100% endurance, 110% will, and then 95% dexterity to inherit as sword skills, but you should not, and then 101% agility that should have been higher, and 133% intelligence. This character gives 1 DP to everyone, including himself on start of battle, fills overdrive gauge off everyone, and then grants a 50% increase to overdrive damage. On the start of a round, he grants all surviving allies this effect called Tricky Circles. This is actually pretty good, but it only lasts for 10 turns. When you are attacking, you grant yourself a defense boost of medium effect, decreasing damage taken by 20% for 2 turns and stacks. And when you are being attacked by the enemy, you trigger an attack boost, has large effect, increasing damage potential by 20%, lasts for 2 turns and stack. Theoretically, if you are faster than the enemy, you are only going to take benefit of the attack boost on the next turn, so it depends on number of the enemy attacks. But when you are attacking the enemy, if your character has multiple chases, it will keep triggering defense boosts to help a lot with damage reduction. Then Barthelemy also has a fast stance guaranteed on the start of a round, and then a 50% chance to trigger a first attack stance. Much like Monica, but we'll get into that in a few. Skill number 3, Erosion Hands, is a fast AoE hidden shadow attack with C power that if you are in a fast stance, the skill is already fast, but you need to be in this stance, it will grant all surviving allies Tricky Circles for 1 turn. That means that you will double the effects of Tricky Circles for that turn, or you can actually keep casting it after turn 10. Every time that you see Barthelemy with this fast stance, you should use Erosion Hands. It will also grant the target to guard down, decreasing the defense of the enemies by 50% and then up to 20% defense down as well. Both effects last for 2 turns, but only the defense down can stack 20%, then you can increase by another 20 by recasting, but the 50% is permanent. The attack itself is pretty weak, C power, and it uses 9 BP. When he attacks on overdrive, he will then recover all surviving allies BP by 3, including himself. But without this, he has no other BP generation. By the end of the turn, he gives 15 points of OG gauge for everyone. He has 40% damage increase at all times, another 40 when attacking weak targets. And by the end of a turn, he recovers 5 BP, but max of 3 times per battle only. So you have 15 free BP points, but after that, nothing else. At the end of a turn, he will also grant himself hit down. This happens every turn. You lose 5% of your damage potential. I don't know why, but it's just to say that Barthelemy was made for short fights. Then you have another 40% damage increase at all times, reducing damage taken by 30% as well. Barthelemy is not really about damage, so hit down really does not make much sense. He's here to improve the damage of other characters. And now it's time to talk about Monica, because she also has a fast stance mechanic, and she is still better than Barthelemy in my opinion in most case scenarios, and even then it's hard to use Monica. First, she can actually get 4 stacks of her passives, and then when she uses the first attack stance in attacks with a chase, she can apply 8 attack boost, and then 8 defense down. Both have 10% value, and she decreases the BP cost of everyone by up to 8 points as well. That's a lot of effects, and we are not using Monica as much. The problem with Barthelemy comes because he does not generate too much BP after 3 turns. He will just have to attack on overdrive, but since he is on turn 1 with overdrive, he's going to use it, and then he's going to actually regain 11 BP in turn 1. 3 from the end of turn, 3 from overdrive, another 5 from end of turn. So again, on short fights, Barthelemy can help you. But we already have another character, that is Silence. Well, Silence attacks single target, Barthelemy attacks AoE. But Silence can fully recharge overdrive gauge of people. And he also buffs when he is attacking, alongside giving attacks and defense boost. They are not really that strong anyway, but he still uses it for the Wells of Challenge. But in the end, Barthelemy cannot feel the overdrive gauge after turn 1. It's just 15 points, and that is something that was really bad for the character. If he could fully charge, then it would be much better. Now, skill number 1, Psychic Ball. He uses an AoE attack with Heat and Shadow that can buff his own intelligence by 25% on max level. Skill number 2 is an S Power Roll attack, Heat and Shadow again, that when the attack lands, has a chance to debuff SGR and intelligence by 20%. This is not enough in current game. So, it's not a really good debuffer. He does not chase, he does not fuel overdrive gauge, he just tries to improve damage of people on overdrive and slowly build up around that. But the tricky circles effect is actually pretty good. But for 10 turns. The thing is, characters like Barthelemy get easily power creeped because future characters will be able to give you all of that without any turn limit. Or without having to rely on something like a fast stance to provide something else. You could inherit this Flame Show skill if you wanted, because this will give 25 points of OG Gauge to everyone besides Barthelemy, so really not that good. And nothing else really matters for him, since it kind of breaks his own system. If you don't have enough VP, you should be using skill number 1 or Void Plus as Inheritance. It's also 2 BP, but before attacking buffs, so it's gonna do more damage. Anything else just doesn't make much sense. You could also use Heat Haze if you want. It spends 1 LP to enter an evasive stance for 1 turn, so that he does not get killed. In the end, I believe Barthelemy only receives a 3.5 out of 5, mostly because of his gimmick only lasting for 10 turns. If it was for the whole fight like even Monica is, it would be much better. But he is ultimately super skippable if you don't have enough gens and want to pull for Joe. Then the last one will be Ludwig. This guy here is kind of crazy. Yes, just 111 SGR, and he does have sword skills, but much more focus on intelligence 133% and agility 93%. Still has to have dexterity and enough endurance and will to sustain damage though. Now, start the fight with 13 BP and grant all surviving allies Pride of Honor. That is crazy. If you didn't not buff your love or charisma, that is, well, don't use characters like Leon, like Liz, like many others that buff, or even formations that buff, like over Accelerate. You will then decrease damage taken by 40% and also improve your damage potential by 40%. Because of that, everyone besides Ludwig lose 10% of their HP. But only on the start of battle, nothing else. When you land an attack, you recover all surviving allies BP by 1. And then when landing an attack that has either skill or spell, you're gonna chase with Dark Sword 2 times. This is an AoE B power attack with slash and shadow damage, actually pretty strong for situations where you're fighting many enemies, or when you are grinding, if you want him to. 2 times B power, it's stronger than Triple S. Close to 4S power with Triple S weapons. So 2, 3, 4S power AoE attacks is impressive. Start of a turn buffs SGR and intelligence by 25%, grants himself a heat up of 20%, that increases damage potential by the whole fight, and then 5 times means 100% on turn 5 onwards. That increases damage by another 30, and then if it's a spell attack, increases by another 30. So you can reach as much as 160% or 200 when you consider Pride of Honor. When attacked, damage will reduce it by 30%, and it still has a 25% chance to block any damage. Loses 1 LP as recoil damage. Okay, so average damage potential, strong attack, via chase, in an interesting setup because of Pride of Honor, but you lose so many good characters because of this, especially Leon. Skill 1 is Fletch. It's an AoE shadow attack with E power only that can debuff enemies SGR by 15% on max level. Not enough for current game, it's just barely effective. Second one, Demonic Blade Drive. It's a roll attack with slash and shadow damage before attacking. Deals 30% of recoil damage to everyone besides Ludwig, and then attack with double S power. Okay, really does not make sense. We already have characters that have similar attacks with 7 BP as well, and they don't take anything. And SGR is not even that high. So he just wants to be on a fast setup to grind where the enemies are aligned in a row, limiting his options. It is actually better to use Dark Cloud's Word, an AoE slash and shadow attack that before attacking will remove all enemies buffs but also your surviving allies as well. Yeah, no one is buffed anymore. And then launches an A attack, and then launches an A power attack that will debuff the enemy STR, Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence by 30% on max level. Okay, but 13 BP for Dark Cloud's word is way too much. Remember that Ludwig only gives 1 BP when he's attacking. But it's for everyone, that's cool. But look, when you use a skill, you will then get 1 BP for you and everyone else's, and then you get another via the Dark Sword Chase. There is a way to actually give 3 BP to everyone, but that will require inheritance of past Ludwig styles. Either Dark Violet Slash, this will attack once with a power and then will attack with Flash of Death. That's actually a pretty powerful attack. Or then via Victim's Word, but this one is bad because it cuts 10% of the HP of everyone else's, and it's just B power followed by C power. If you have Dark Violet Slash, even though it's a sword skill, it's much better. In the end, it's still hard because in this way, although he's giving 3 VP to everyone and people can benefit from the extra VP, Ludwig still has problems keeping up with his cycling. You don't want to use Dark Cloud's Word and then Flutch. You want to keep using Dark Cloud's Word because you are not buffing your squad anymore, since he is actually removing it. Well, in the end, Ludwig is really hard to use. When I thought more about him, all of this situation where you cannot use characters like Liz in the party, or Leon, or many other formations, makes him way too bad. A 3 out of 5 is more than deserved. Even if he's giving you BP, there are better characters to do that, and he is really skippable. Moving on to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? No, it will only receive a silver minus award, and that's because Igomahl and Barthelemy can be used, but even then are not really that good moving forward. I don't believe you should be pulling for then if you got Vagnus in the 7 Heroes banner. Even if Igomahl is a good tank, she's not really a damage dealer, and Barthelemy does not provide much better support than all other overdrive specialists, with Ludwig being just a strange character. With all that said, I did not pull, I don't recommend pulling, summon on Joe better instead. That I'll have a full review tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching, please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, use the links on the description. Hope to see you soon in the next one. Goodbye.